Already blow smoke rings in the wind when there's even the slightest breeze. I got me a green laser. Ah! Don't burn your eyes out! Ah! I'm ruining my camera right now. I have a green laser and a green guitar. It's all about the green. There we go. This thing shines for miles, man. This goes for days, dude. It goes forever. It's cool. But when you look at it, it hurts your eyes! Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody up there? I got Minecraft glasses, see? They protect your eyes from harmful light rays emitted by lasers. I'm not gonna wear those for real, just for pretend. All right, this is where the show starts. Earth don't move and Earth don't curve. If you think it does, then prove it. I'll be waiting. Here's what I say. Go out, draw a circle on the ground. Draw an enclosed perimeter on the ground for me, okay? And now, draw a smaller perimeter around the outside of that one. Do I make myself clear? In case there's some confusion, illustrate this for you. You want to prove the globe? Prove there's a globe Earth that we live on? Well, here's a little thing I'm going to ask you to do for me then. That's how you can prove that the globe is a joke. It's this easy. Sad. All right, let's say this is a ground right here, okay? Let's draw a little house right here, okay? The door, right? The window. Here's you right here. Little old you. Yay, right? There's you in your house, okay? Now you're gonna have a property line that goes around your house. This is your house. And this is your property line, right? Goes around your house. Your property line is your property right here. Can you see this shit? Is this clear? Can you understand what I'm saying? Now go and draw a smaller property line around the outside of your property line for me. It's not smaller, is it? It's bigger. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Can you draw a smaller perimeter around the outside of another one? It doesn't appear to be possible, does it? How are you going to go about doing that? Every time you draw another perimeter around it, it's bigger. Oh no, what the fuck? How are you going to draw a smaller perimeter around the outside of another perimeter? I don't know, but you're going to have to if you want to prove the Earth is a globe to me. Oh, what do you mean, Bass? I mean, like, do you think that's possible? To draw a smaller perimeter on the outside of another perimeter? Am I making sense? I don't think it's possible. I think it's impossible. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter how big of a perimeter or how small of a perimeter you draw. Your circle can be 24,000 miles in circumference. I don't care. Step outside that perimeter and draw another one around it. It's going to be a bigger fucking perimeter. Sorry. Now, they say the east and west are circles. That's what the globe model necessitates. Now, the globe model also says that the longitude lines make circles, but you got to think of the compass as a map. And the compass is a model of Earth, all right? The compass. Compass, has a needle, a straight needle that points to the north, right? Well, it's also pointing to the south, too, right? Right. Am I wrong? No, I'm right. So the needle is pointing to the north, right? But the needle could be pointing to the south. All you have to do is put the arrow on the other end. However, the needle is correcting to the north. That's understood. So what the needle is indicating is that going the opposite direction of north is south. So if that needle is pointing north, then it's also pointing south. It's not pointing south, but if you were to go the opposite direction of where the needle is pointing, you'd be going south. So if we're always correcting to the north, then east and west must be circles. All right. Now the compass is a flat depiction of Earth because Earth is flat. The compass is like a model of Earth, kind of. I mean, it's not a model, but it's like it is a working model of directionality on the Earth. So we have the north, right, and we have the south, which is the opposite direction of north. So if you're moving north, you're moving north. If you turn around and go the opposite direction, you're moving south. North and south are straight lines. That's what the compass is indicating. The needle is straight. You're walking in a straight line towards the north, or you're walking in a straight line away from the north, south. Okay, so north and south are straight lines. Now the longitude lines on the globe are all the same length. Okay, they all go to the North Pole, and they all claim to end at the South Pole, which is, well, I don't see how that's possible. We're gonna work through this, all right? We're gonna work through this by using a compass. Granted, I haven't thoroughly tested the compass. I haven't actually gone with the compass and followed the direction of north all the way to the center of the Earth. I have never done that. I'm assuming it's possible. I don't know that it's possible. I'm assuming it is. Most people would assume that with me, and there might be some people out there that actually know that it is because they've actually gone and followed it all the way to the North Pole. I don't know. I haven't talked to anyone that has. So there's what it is. Anyways, we're assuming that there is a central point that all compasses are pointing to. That's what the compass indicates. That's what we've all been led to believe and taught in school, whatever. They teach you all kinds of bullshit in school also. So you got to take whatever you've been given by them, the systems, education, as with a grain of salt these days, because it turns out that a lot of the shit that we were taught is propaganda, is indoctrination. It wasn't even really like real information. It was just bogus shit. And this is what we're working through right now, where we live. I mean, it's been an ongoing conversation for like almost 10 years now, or about 10 years. And it's interesting because the amount of people that are taking part in this conversation now, it's grown. It's exponentially growing. I mean, there's fucking millions of us now. I mean, a lot of people aren't really ready to come out and admit it yet, but there's a lot of us non-globers. You can call us flat earthers, whatever you want to call us. You don't have to fucking call us anything. We're just people that are realizing there's some issues here. This is what flat earth is. It's the realization that the globe model of Earth has never been scientifically verified and cannot be. After 10 years, we're all still fucking heels dug in going, no, that doesn't work, man. Now here we have the final experiment coming up where they're going to go to Antarctica and try to see if the sun circles them for 24 hours, which I don't think it's going to. I don't think you're going to see that. It doesn't really make sense to me that that's what you would see there. However, there's enough talk about this where some people really believe that's what they're going to see there. I'm sticking with the fact that it doesn't make any sense. I'm not gonna just say what if. I'm just gonna say no. I don't think so. If I'm proven wrong, then I'm proven wrong, and we'll have to fucking deal with it when the time comes. But for now, I'm just saying I don't think there's a 24-hour sun there. I have enough good reasons to not believe that there is. But anyways, my point here is that we're working through this here. The compass is a model of Earth directionality or whatever. It's east and west are circles, right? So let's say you're standing in the middle of Earth at the North Pole. You step away from the North Pole, you make east-west circles around it. You're always correcting to the north. So east and west are circles. On the globe and on the flat Earth they are. Okay, so now on the globe, the circles keep getting bigger on both models, right? The further you move away from the North Pole, you move south in a straight line away from the North Pole, then you make another circle. The circles keep getting bigger. Longitude, latitude, they call them. So the circles keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The circumference measures bigger. Every time you walk around the outside of it, you draw another one, right? On both models, okay? So, you just got to picture this. You know, it's not going to look much different than this. So say your house is at the North Pole, right? You just keep making bigger circles. The further out you go away from the North Pole, you're going to make a bigger circle around the last one. You just keep moving out, expanding out, expanding out. On both models, this is what you're going to do. You're going to find that the east and west are indeed circles, and you know, the north and south are just straight lines. And apparently, you know, they're all the same length. Now here, the globe model wants you to think that eventually those north and south lines are going to come wrap all the way back around. So they're supposed to be circles also. But here's the thing, though. Okay, we're moving out from the North Pole. Circles keep getting bigger. All right, we've already, you know, we're talking about that. So we eventually make it to this place they call the equator, which is a halfway point, and this could likely be the same on both models. It's like it really probably is, you know. So you get to the halfway point. Here's on the globe. That's the biggest circle you're gonna make, right? Now on the flat Earth, okay, you're making bigger circles. You're working out, right? So all this space that you've already gone over has all been within these circles, right? So each time you circle around, you have all that space still inside your circle. You're adding more space to it. You know, it keeps becoming a bigger and bigger expanse that you're circling. At the equator, you're circling 24,000 miles of area, right? All, you know, if you start in the North Pole, it's like by the time you get down there, you've got the whole northern hemisphere within your circle. Or like on the flat Earth, you would just have the whole northern, most, you know, the central. Anyways, you get the point, right? So on the globe, the biggest model the biggest circle you can make is at the equator, 24,000 miles in circumference. Now imagine this. So you step south of the equator, and you've just been stepping south and making a new circle this whole time, right? Draw another circle. Okay, now you step south of the equator. You draw another circle around the outside of that circle. Lo and behold, on the globe model, you're supposed to have a smaller circle. You're supposed to measure a smaller circle around the outside of that last circle that you just drew. That's what we have to believe is being done there. And they're not trying to tell you that you're going in a straight line or anything like that. They're telling you these east and west are circles on the globe model. So that's the reality of it. Once you get to the equator, the next circle you make is going to be smaller than the one you made before. So that's when you're going to find that you're making a smaller perimeter around the outside of another perimeter. Although that doesn't make any sense, it doesn't really check out logically. That's what you're going to have to do on a globe. That's where we run into issues right there. It's like, you know, that's where the globe model and the flat Earth depart, and they go completely different directions. Because we're supposed to think that's the biggest circle you can make on the Earth. You're circling out, you know, you're circling all this area. The circumference keeps getting bigger and bigger. You finally make it to the halfway point. You're circling, you know, the entire northern hemisphere. And at that point, you step south and you make another circle. Now your circle is smaller. How are you going to fit more area inside a smaller circle? I mean, this is where people's brains kind of check out. They just go, "Oh, well, it has to, because you live on a globe." And it's like, well, no. We're trying to prove whether or not you live on a globe. You can't just use that we live on a globe as proof that doesn't work logically. So we're trying to figure this out. Let's just use logic here. So once you step south of the equator, that next circle you make is smaller. But is it going around all that area that we already circled? Hey, Saddlebum, nice to see you. Because how could it be? Because we've circled that whole area. That's, you know, the circles kept getting bigger and bigger until we got to the equator. And so all that area that we've already circled is all, you know, all there. But now the next circle we make is smaller. We step south of the equator. We're not going over the property that we'd already circled. So it's like the next circle we make is smaller. How are you fitting? But there's more area. How are you fitting more area inside a smaller circle? Are we supposed to believe that's what's happening? Well, no, because check it out. That circle isn't going around all that stuff that we've already circled. Because now that circle that you made, the smaller circle that you made past the equator, that circle is actually there. Because with a circle, you're always going to have an area within the circle. Okay. So when you're at the equator, there's an area within that circle. What area is it? Is it the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? What is the area inside that circle? Because it's a circle, according to the globe. The equator is a circle. because it's east and west. All east and west latitude lines are circles on the globe model and on the flat Earth model. Although we don't call them latitude lines, I don't think that's, well, maybe we do, but here's the point. Once you get past the equator, that's when models depart and they go completely different directions. What's up, Zulu One? My buddy. So what I want to know is what is the area within the, because the equator is a circle and it's got a roughly 24,000 mile circumference. It has to be a circle. The globe model necessitates that the east and west latitude lines are circles because you start, they get bigger as you expand from the North Pole. You get to the equator, you have a 24,000 mile circumference. Now, what area is that circle circling around? There has to be an area within that circle. That's what a circle is. It's circling around something. So what is the area within that circle? Well, is it the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? Because those are two totally different places. Two entirely different places. You can't have two places in one circle. So what is it? Well, the thing is, it's got to be one or the other. I'm thinking that if you start at the North Pole and you start circling out, then obviously by the time you get to the equator, you're circling the entire northern hemisphere. However, when you step south of the equator and you make another circle and it's smaller somehow, well, you couldn't be circling all that area that you just circled and some, because how are you going to fit more area inside a smaller circle? You're not. It's not fucking possible. So you must be circling a different area now, somehow. Because, up into that point, you've just been stepping out of your circle, making a new circle, it's bigger, stepping out of your circle, making a new circle, it's bigger. After a while, you start to see a pattern forming. Okay, we can't make a smaller circumference around the outside of another one. That's not really possible. Here's your house, that's your property right there inside that circle. You step outside that circle and make another one. It's going to be bigger. And you keep going. You just kind of see a pattern forming, right? It's going to start getting bigger and bigger. And it just keeps getting bigger, right? So, at the fucking equator, you've made the biggest circle yet. The globe model wants you to think that's the biggest circle you can make on Earth. If you're measuring out circles on the ground, the biggest one you can make is 24,000 miles in circumference. That's halfway across the Earth, okay? So that's the biggest circle you can make. That seems weird because you could just step south again and make another one. There's more space past that. But I can't make a bigger circle than that? Huh? What? You want me to believe that I can't make a bigger circle, although we're only halfway across the Earth? We've been making bigger and bigger circles as we go. Bigger and bigger circles. Let's say you own whatever's inside that circle that you make. That's the lottery you win. You win the concentric circle lottery. Just start making circles, boom, 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 and they keep getting bigger. Concentric circles, they keep getting bigger. They're not circles that are next to each other. They're circles that are around each other. They keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Concentric circles. You own whatever's in the circle. You win. Yay, I'm going to win. I'm going to own everything. Are you? Well, if that circle keeps getting bigger, right? You would think that, yeah, eventually you're going to own the whole world because it just keeps getting bigger. Eventually you're going to consume all the space available, right? That makes sense to me. No, but on the globe, the biggest circle you're going to make is only halfway across the world. So technically, if you won this concentric circle lottery on a globe, you would only own, the most you would ever own is half the world. Or you could say that at the equator, you're circling the whole world because it's circling the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. That doesn't really make any sense, though. Let's face it, the globe model doesn't make any sense. That's what doesn't make sense right now. I'm just trying to think about this logically. Like, we live on a surface. Okay, that's everybody would have to agree. We live on the surface of Earth, and on this surface you can measure out property lines. We do that all the time. It's important. We have to know what our property is. So in order to know what your property, the amount of property you have, which is really important to people, they have to measure the perimeter of their property. That measurement is a valuable measurement. It's a very necessary measurement to have. If you want to know how much property you own, you got to measure the perimeter of it. So you get that measurement, boom, and it directly relates to how much property you have. You can figure out, you can deduce by what dimensions your perimeter is, how much property is within it. So, you know, if you just keep wanting to add more and more property to your property, you step outside of your property and you make another property line around the outside of it. It's going to be bigger. Now you own more property. So if the concentric circle lottery was a real thing, you would just keep owning more and more property. Keeps expanding. This is something that could really happen in real life. It's not just some dumb story I made up. This is something that really could happen if, you know, all other variables aside, if the money was there and people were cooperating, you could just keep buying more property and expanding. Expanding. You think you would eventually own the whole world expanding if it was just keep drawing a bigger circle. Unfortunately, though, on a globe, the biggest circle you can make is only halfway across the Earth. So the most you would own in the concentric circle lottery is half the world. Because after you move past the equator, the median, whatever, the circles start getting smaller. And it's not like you're circling, it's not like now you're circling the property that you don't own. No, that's not what's happening because you only own what's in this circle. So after you move past the equator, you no longer own all that property that you'd all circled already. Now you're circling a different area and your circles are getting smaller and you're losing property every time. So the most you would own in the concentric circle lottery on a globe is half the world. But I don't believe that we live on a globe. I believe that eventually you would own the whole world. I think that eventually that circle would expand to the point where you own all available property. That's just me. I'm a crazy flat earther. The thing is, I think most people think like flat earthers. They just don't realize it. I think most people would be like, yeah, in the concentric circle lottery, I would win the whole, I would eventually consume all the space available. I would own the whole earth. My circle's expanding. Why wouldn't it eventually just expand to every reach of the earth? That makes sense to me. It makes sense to just about anybody. But when people realize what they're agreeing with, they're like, oh, wait a minute, I can't agree with that. That's what a flat earther thinks. Oh, I don't want to be stupid. I don't want to be stupid, so I'm gonna go ahead and have the stupid thought that like the globe is real. I mean, the best I've gotten out of a glober on this one is basically like, you know, well, they have to start getting the circles have to start getting smaller after you go past the equator. We know that it does. Look at my globe model that I have. Look, I'm like, that's your proof that we live on a globe. Your globe model. Your proof that we live on a globe is that we live on a globe. Yeah, it doesn't really get much better than that. There really isn't much more of it. I mean, that's about the only. I've never gotten any other like response. And there's no viable response that you can give me to what I'm saying. This quandary of mine. Granted, no flat earther will even bother listening to the things I'm saying. They got to stick to their particular talking points and their final experiments and all this shit. But it's like, dude, I haven't made it past this part here yet, where it's like there's no way to draw a smaller perimeter around the outside of another one. You know, I got one person watching me. They might not even be listening. They're just like waiting for me to get to something good. This is just too confusing. My brain is synapses are frying. My thoughts aren't connecting. That doesn't make sense, Bass. What are you talking about? Exactly. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't check out logically. Like you could own the whole northern hemisphere. You own all of that, right? And you're like, I want to buy more property now. My property has a 24,000 mile circumference. I own the whole fucking northern hemisphere. I'm king, but I want to own even more. So step out of my property line, step down into the southern hemisphere, and just measure out a new property line around my whole property line that I already have. Measure out a new property line for me because I want to own even more than the northern hemisphere. I want to own the northern hemisphere and part of the southern hemisphere. You know, that's adjoining my property. I want to just expand. Okay, sir, we're going to go do that for you. So they go out and they measure out a new property line around the outside of your old property line, right? Which was the equator, but you own the whole northern hemisphere. So you step out of your property, you draw a new property line around your whole property. And now you got a smaller property line, and yet you own more property? What the?
Sorry, it's so heavy. It's so much. I don't know if you're hungry. I'm hungry. It's got brown chicken in it.
I love you. Oh my God. My girlfriend's a really good cook. I don't like eating on camera. I'm gonna go over here. It's so good. Really hot though. So I'm gonna play a song while my food cools down. I'm gonna make up a song while my food cools down. You think you live on a globe. Think you live on a globe. What a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. You must be smoked. You wanna get rich quick. I'm just going to play one of my songs that I already have written. They're a lot easier to play. Good. Wow, baby. That's fucking bomb. All right. All right. As you impart with a partial smile, disperse into your world of denial. Straight but not forward, more towards a narrow arrows pointing you towards some kind of marginal success story. Right. As you impart with a partial smile, disperse into your world of denial like a head-on collision. Oh yeah, a head-on collision. Lighting in the wake of your decisions, baby, just a head-on collision. I send spyglass specks in view of far-off train wreck before they met in a head-on collision. Oh yeah, head-on collision. Lighting in the wake of your decision. Try it again. Spyglass specks can view a far-off train wreck before they met. A head-on collision. And a head-on collision. X-ray vision, high definition, limited edition of a rendition that's never gonna get listened to. You do the mathematics and you'll choke and come up a kaleidoscope. Living in this lie. I said we're living in a lie. Living in a lie is more ridiculous as time goes by. More ridiculous as time goes by. More ridiculous as time goes by. Ridiculous as time goes by. Being made of money doesn't make you anybody special. Being made of money doesn't make you anybody fucking special. Sorry, I'm just goofing off. It's still really hot. What, you want to hear a Flat Earth song? Okay. This one's by Bob Dildo. I kind of borrowed it from him. Once upon a time. No, I don't want to play this song. Once upon a bent space and time where you can curve in a straight line, put a dumb idea in your mind and think it's true. People call it, said it's not true at all. Earth stuff is flat. It's not a ball. You thought they all were kidding you. And you used to laugh about all of us and what we were talking about. But now you don't laugh so loud. Now you don't seem so proud, trying to defend something that obviously just isn't real. Oh, how does it feel? Hey, how does it feel when you find out you're home? It's a completely different story than what you were told. And it's a stationary store where you went to the same schools we all did. That's cool, but your mother never really taught you anything true in it. No one ever taught you how to go out and prove anything for yourself, and you just got used to it. Now you seem to be compromised when you stare into the supposed vacuum of the sky and you think to yourself, how do I know if that's even real? Oh, and how does it feel? How does it feel? You finally find out that you're home. Completely different story than what you were told. You're perfectly safe here with the dome. And it's a stationary store when you never turned around to see the frowns on the Neil deGrasse clowns when they did their tricks for you. You never understood. It ain't no good. You shouldn't let people like that tell you what the fuck is true. That stuff is flat, baby. It's flat. That stuff is flat. Okay, that's perfect. I gotta go. Love you guys. I'll be back.